discussion of assignment number 5. So, as per what you have sent me on the messages, assignment 5. Yeah, so sorry students, I lost connectivity for a moment there. So I will be back online now. So wait a moment, yeah, you should be able to receive everything from me now. Yeah, my internet connection had just dropped for a moment, but I think everything is normal now. So let's start again with the discussion for assignment 5, doubts. So far I have received for question number 2 and 4, was it? I've lost the messages unfortunately because my connectivity went. Yeah. So question 2, 4, 9 and 10 so far. There are more questions. Yeah, Arvinda, question number 9 I have written. Okay. Shubham, you just sent for question number 10. So anyway, let's start with question number 2. Okay. So question 2 is this type of question. It says that you have a car which makes a displacement of 80 kilometers towards the east and then turns to make a further displacement of 60√2 kilometers towards the northwest, then the magnitude of its net displacement is okay. So there's going to be a bit of a correction in this question for the values, but as per the data given in the question, kaise karenge? So let's say that the displacement A is 80 kilometers towards east. Okay. And the second displacement B is 60√2 kilometers towards northwest. Unfortunately, there's a mistake in this value, so I'll change that for you. But suppose the question was this only, okay, then how we'll solve it? So one easy way to do it is by using the triangle law concept, or the component algebra also you can use. So what we can do is, if you consider your xy axis like this, where this is your east along the x-axis, and this is your north along the y-axis, and your negative x-axis is west, and like this negative y-axis is south. Okay, so A यहाँ पे कैसा होगा? A will be a vector which looks like it's 80 kilometers like this towards east. So A will be like this. In comparison, B will now look something like this. You can draw it here, you can draw it here, it doesn't matter. Wherever you draw it. You can draw it like this, or you can draw it like this, whichever way you draw it. So that is 60√2, where this angle should be 45, because it should be the northwest direction. So it should be splitting this and this in equal, 45 degrees, 45 degrees. Okay. So one way is you can just write A and B in component form. So the vector A in this case will be written as 80 I cap, and the vector B will be written as minus 60 I cap plus 60 j cap when you resolve, because you can see that this angle is 135. So B's x component will become B cos 135. So that will be 60√2 into minus 1 by root. Like that, B's y component will be B sine 135. Okay. So that will be 60 root 2 into 1 by root 2. So that's how we get the components like this. And then you can find out the resultant. So the net displacement, you can say net displacement or resultant or whatever, is sum of A plus B. So यहाँ पे वो कितना हो जाएगा? It will become 80 minus 60 I cap plus 60 j cap. So it will become 20 I cap plus 60 j cap. So that is your net displacement as a vector, and so its magnitude should become square root of 20 square plus 60 square. Then you can take 20 common, so you have 1 plus 3 square. So 20 root 10 should be your answer according to this. But actually this will not match any of the options because unfortunately there was a misprint in the question. Okay. So I'll tell you what the misprint is. You change this value of 80 kilometers. You just make a correction here. You change this value to 140. Okay, then you will get the correct answer. Make this 140. So this thing changes. It becomes A is equal to 140 I cap in kilometers. Okay. So then this changes. This becomes 140 minus 60, or this changes to 80. So then you will get the net displacement instead of this. You will get it as the root of 80 square plus 60 square, which is 100. And that is the answer given to you. Okay, so if you were just not getting the answer, it's just this much only. There's nothing. Conceptually, this is how you have to do. Okay, let's move on to question number 4 after this. So hope this question is clear to all of you people. Yes. Okay, so Prince, the problem was with the answer. No? You were probably not getting the correct answer given from the answer key. So just make sure that you note down that correction for the value. Change the first displacement's magnitude to 140 kilometers from the given 80 kilometers. You will get the answer. Okay, now moving on. Question number 4. So question 4 is about Arvinda, explain question 2 again. Okay. Explain question 2 में हम Arvinda क्या कर रहे हैं? We are expressing the vectors A and B in component form. Okay. So in the original question this was given as 80 kilometers, but change it to 140. That's a misprint as I told you. So the vector A is 140 towards east. Okay. So component form में कितना हो जाएगा? 140 I cap, because I've taken my x axis to be along east. Similarly, the vector B is how much? It is 60 root 2. Its magnitude is 60 root 2 kilometers, this one. Okay, but along which direction? Along the direction of northwest. The 60 root 2 is along the direction of northwest. So it's like this. So इसके components क्या हो जाएंगे? See, this is 60 root 2. So this component will be 60 and this component will be 60. But this component is in which direction? It's along the negative x direction. So it becomes minus 60 I cap. And this component of 60 is in which direction? It's in the positive y direction. So it becomes 60 j cap. So understood now? So that's how I'm getting the vectors in component form as 140 I cap for A and minus 60 I cap plus 60 j cap for B. Because saying that 60 root 2 along this 45-degree line is the same thing as it has a negative x component of 60 and a positive y component of 60. Okay, Arvind, is that clear? Okay. And then what you have to do is you have to add the two vectors. So simple summation. So just add this vector here, 140 I cap with this vector here. So it becomes how much? It becomes this. Okay. So in component form, it becomes 140 minus 60, that is 80 I cap plus 60 j cap. और इसका magnitude कितना हो जाएगा? Root of x square plus y square or 80 square plus. So that's how you'll get the correct answer as 100 after making that correction that magnitude should be 140 instead of 80 for the first one. Okay. So that was question number 2 again. Now question 4, it is given to us that the magnitude of A plus B plus C is 0. That's one thing given. Then additionally what is given to us is that magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of B. Mod A is equal to mod B is equal to 10. Okay. And the angle between them A and B, that is theta equal to 120 degrees. So we have to find the magnitude of C. Okay. So the easiest way of doing this question is that you understand here that A plus B plus C is a null vector because its magnitude is 0. So that means the vector C is minus of the sum of A plus B. So that means the magnitude of the vector C is magnitude of negative of the sum of A plus B. So that is be nothing but the magnitude of A plus B. Because you're talking about mod, so the minus sign doesn't matter. So now you use triangle law. Okay, so mod C is equal to mod A plus B is equal to root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. Now in that you substitute the values which are given. So A is equal to B in magnitude. And the angle is 120. So cos 120, you know, is minus cos 60. So it is minus half. So substitute that over there. Okay. So it's 100 plus 100 plus 200 into minus half. So that becomes square root of 100. So that's 10. So interestingly, the magnitude of the vector C is also 10. Okay. So this, in my mind, is one of the easier way of doing the question. We can discuss some more methods also, but I think this is something that should be fairly obvious when you read the question. So एक method तो ये हो गया question करने का. So just try this out. I mean, write this down. Now the other is we can also use component algebra. Since the magnitudes of A and B is given and the angle between A and B is given, just assume A and B are in the xy plane with the vector A along the x-axis. So write A and B in component form and then substitute in this given expression that A plus B plus C is equal to 0. So once you will be able to find out the vector C. So that's another method which will become the component algebra method. Okay, so hope this is clear. Okay, I'll come to third question also. But let's also look at this question by component method first. Okay. So alternately, we can also solve this by component algebra. by using component algebra. So it's given that magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of B is equal to 10 and theta is equal to 120 degrees between them. So let us take vector A along our x-axis. And let's take vector B at 120 degrees. Something like this. Vector B is at 120 degrees. Its magnitude is 10. And vector E along the x-axis, its magnitude is 10. Now we can write A and B in component form as 10 I cap and vector B क्या हो जाएगा? B minus 5 I cap plus 5 root 3. So this is making use of the fact that cos 120 is minus half and sine 120 is positive of root 3. Now we have to find a third vector C, which should obviously, logically you'll understand the third vector as being something like this. Somewhere over here it has to be, so that the resultant is 0. Okay, so find C and then magnitude of C such that E plus B plus C should be equal to 0. So that is 10 I cap, that is your E, plus B, which is minus 5 I cap plus 5 root 3 J cap, plus C should be 0. So you can see we get from here 5 I cap plus 5 root 3 J cap plus the vector C should be your null vector. The resultant should be equal to the 0 vector. So the vector C itself is becoming wrong. It is minus 5 I cap minus 5 root 3 J cap. You can see that C vector as I've drawn over there is in third quadrant and magnitude of C is nothing but 10. C will also have a magnitude of 10 units. And from this, you're also getting the information that C is at 240 degrees with respect to x-axis, because it is at tan inverse root 3 in third quadrant. When you solve that, you get them. So you can also see here that ये angle वापस से कितना होगा 120 होगा, because the total angle कितना होना चाहिए? This total angle should be 240. And they should also be 10 in magnitude. So this is yet another way of solving the same problem, but by making use of component algebra. So just note this down also, and we'll come back to question number 3. Okay, so understood this component algebra method also, I hope people. So you should approach problems from various different methods that you can think of. Whatever method you feel comes to your mind, first of all, try it by that method. But then before moving on to another question, just try and see if some other method might also be applicable. So question 3 is a simpler question. It just says that E plus B is equal to minus 4 times E. We have to find the angle between E and B. You can just see that this equation, it implies that B is equal to minus 4A minus A, or that B is equal to minus 5A. So that means they are opposite vectors. What does this statement imply? This statement implies that magnitude of B is 5 times magnitude of A, but more importantly, B's direction is opposite. It's something like this. If this is the vector E, B should be a vector which is like this. It should be opposite in direction. So if this one's magnitude is 5x, that one's magnitude is x. So they should be anti-parallel, opposite, or that means theta is equal to 180. And they are anti-parallel vectors. Right, so hope this is clear. So next we are doing which one? 9th. Anything before question 9, people? Question number 1, Arvinda. Okay. 1, 6. Okay. 6 also later. So question 1 kya tha? Vector E is equal to, so this is just about the basics of components. I cap minus root 3j. So to find the angle of E with respect to the positive x-axis, find the angle for vector E with respect to the positive x-axis. So there are two ways of doing this. One is by formula method. By formula, you can see that E is x component, which is E cos theta, should be equal to 1, and E is y component, which is E sin theta, is equal to minus root 3, where theta is the angle with respect to the positive x-axis. So that means, first of all, you can see that cos theta is positive, sin theta is negative. So that means theta is in second quadrant, or theta is an obtuse angle greater than 90 level. Okay. Then also you can see that tan theta, which is basically Ey by Ex, the division of these two, is minus root. Okay. So that means tan theta can be written as minus of tan 180 minus theta is minus 2. This is the formula for second quadrant. The second quadrant, the formula is that tan theta is minus of tan 180 minus theta. So for example, tan 135 degrees becomes minus of tan 45. It becomes minus. That kind of formula we are using. So next step is minus of, so this is equal to this. That means remove the minus sign here between this equation and this, between these two. So tan of 180 degrees minus theta is, now you know that tan 60 is equal to root. In other words, 180 minus theta is tan inverse of, so this thing means that 60 degrees is tan inverse of. With that knowledge, you know that 180 minus theta is 60. So that means the angle theta is how much? It is 120. This is the proper formula based method. Okay. But this is not always a convenient method. Easier might be that we geometrically draw the vector and very easily find out the angle. But you can note this now, this is the proper way of interpreting the angle theta with the positive x-axis using the formula that the component x-axis is a cos theta and the component along the y-axis is a sin theta. The other way of doing this is much simpler. You just draw the vector. Geometrically, you understand what the vector is. See that the vector minus I cap plus root 3 j cap. It will look like this in the xy plane. There's a negative x component, so magnitude 1. Your ax is minus 1, and it has a positive y component of root. So the vector itself is the sum of these two components. So you can see that the vector A itself over here is this is the vector. Now we want to find out this angle, this theta. Okay. So for that, you can just first concentrate on what this angle is. So this is alpha. You can see that angle alpha is such that this side is 1 in magnitude and this side is root. So tan alpha is root. That means alpha is 60. So that means theta is how much? It's 180 minus alpha. Or the angle that the vector E is making with the positive x-axis. This is a very simple visual sort of way of interpreting this equation. That vector E is minus I cap plus root 3 j cap. What it means. Okay, is this clear, people? Cons would be in the positive side. Prince, what is j cap is positive. No? So that's why you can see the y component is positive. So this is positive. The x component is negative. So the ax is negative. Right. Okay, now let's come to the sixth question then. Right. So hope this is clear by both the methods. Now let's come to the sixth question. So question 6 it's told to us that the resultant of P and Q is such that R is perpendicular to E and P is to Q is 3:5. So the resultant of vectors P and Q, that means this is such that R is perpendicular to the vector P, okay, and the magnitude of P is to the magnitude of Q is 3:5. So from this information, we have to find the angle between P and Q. There's again a misprint in the paper. Okay. It's not A and B. Just make a correction over here. यहाँ पे A लिखा हुआ है, A की जगह P होना चाहिए. And we want to find the angle between P and Q. So again, there are a couple of ways we can do this. If we do this geometrically, we can write it like this, that suppose this is the vector P, then the resultant is perpendicular to this. So the resultant will have to be, let's say, somewhere at 90 degrees. So the resultant, which is P plus Q, will have to be like this. So then naturally you can see the vector Q must be this one. By triangle law, addition of P plus Q, if it's this, then Q must be this one. So Q is this vector. And this is the angle that we are trying to find out. Also given that P is to Q is 3:5. So suppose this is 3x, this is 5x in length. Okay. So you can now see that if this angle is alpha, okay, you can see that alpha is equal to 180 minus theta. And within the triangle, alpha is such that cos alpha is 3x by 5x, or basically P by Q. That is 3 by 5. Okay. So that means alpha is cos inverse of 3 by 5, which we have learned before is how much? It is 53 degrees. So therefore, theta is how much? 180 minus 53, or 127 degrees. Yeah, Dushyant, which one? Which component I showed negative? X component ना बेटा, because ये दिया हुआ है ना क्वेश्चन में, ये माइनस आई क्या पे, तो ए का x component कितना है यहाँ पे? ax is -1 and ay is √3 ना, so the vector a is ax I cap plus ay j cap. So that's why we showed this as negative. The x component is negative, the y component is positive. कहाँ y component negative होता है? X component negative है, y component तो positive है. See, this is positive. This is positive. Okay. X component is negative. Okay, so coming back to this question. So this is the geometrical method. Just make a note of this with you. Now similarly, you can also do this question by component method. To try the same question by component method. So if you do this by component method, the last step here, cos cos alpha मुझे ये triangles मिल गया ना, but this is a right angle triangle where this angle I've labeled as alpha and this side is 3x compared to this side which is 5x. So cos alpha, that's why, is 3 by 5. So you know that cos 53 degrees is 3 by 5. So that therefore 53 degrees is what? Cos inverse of 3 by 5. So that's how my alpha is becoming 53 degrees. And once alpha is 53, then theta is equal to 180 minus. Because remember, we want to find this theta. Theta is the angle between P and Q. P का direction ये है ना, and Q का direction ये है. So that angle between P and Q is an obtuse angle. P is in this direction, Q. So this is the angle, not this one. That's why our final answer should be theta equal to 127. Now this is much easier by this triangle method. Okay, if you go into component algebra, it's a little bit complicated. So what we'll have to do here is in component method, let the vector P is some xi cap, or let's say 3xi cap. So the vector Q's magnitude should be 5x, because given to us that P is to Q is P is to 5. Okay. Now the resultant of P and Q is becoming along the y-axis. So it is some y j, because R is perpendicular to this. Okay. So now resultant is equal to P plus Q. That means what is Q equal to? It is R minus P. So it is y j cap minus 3x. That is what the vector Q is. Okay. Now it is given to us that the magnitude of Q should be equal to 5x. So according to this, the magnitude of Q is 3x whole square plus y square. That should be equal to 5x. So that means 9x square plus y square should be 25x square, which means that y square should be equal to 16x square, which means that y is equal to plus minus 4x. So that means the vector Q is equal to minus 3x I cap plus minus 4x. So the angle it makes with the x-axis will be, suppose we take Q equal to minus 3x I cap plus 4x j cap. So we can see that the angle will be tan inverse minus 4 by 3 in quadrant 2. So in quadrant 2, this will mean that tan theta is minus 4 by 3. So that means minus tan of theta minus 180 minus theta is 4 by 3. So 180 minus theta will become 53 degrees, or theta will become 127 degrees. Similarly, suppose if I take the case where Q is equal to minus 3x I cap minus 4x j cap. So that case is also possible. So in this case, theta will become tan inverse 4 by 3. But in which case? In quadrant 3, because both x and y are negative. The x component and y component are negative. So that means tan theta equal to tan of theta minus 180 is equal to 4 by 3. So this will tell us that theta minus 180 degrees is equal to 53 degrees. Or theta is equal to 180 plus 53. So that is this kind of situation. The vector, this one, Q is like this, where this angle is 180 plus 53 or 233 degrees. Whereas the vector P goes along the x-axis. So what is this angle? This angle is 360 minus 233, which is 127. So our final answer will become the angle between P and Q is 127. So that's why I said that in component solving, this one becomes a little bit complicated. It's easier to solve because you don't have to get into so much trigonometry formula and quadrants and all that. It's much easier to understand just from the triangle principle of this triangle component. However, you can solve it by component method, and this is the component method. So I'd like you to just go through this and note down the steps once. Clear it with me if you have any doubts with the steps. Just go through the first part once, and then we'll see how to get the angle also. Yeah, Arvinda, we got why. I mean, that is an assumption because it's given to us in the question that R is perpendicular to P. See, question में अपने को दिया हुआ है that the vector R is perpendicular to P. So that means if P is along x-axis, then then R has to be perpendicular to it. So it has to be along y-axis. उसका magnitude नहीं पता मुझे. Y is an unknown quantity. but I know that r is along the y-axis. There's some yj cap where the magnitude of y I don't know. Okay, but I know this. So anyway, now proceeding further. Now the tricky part, the angle. So one case is where you take this. Now in this case, the diagram will look like this. That Q is like this in the second quadrant, and P is like this in the first quadrant. So directly this angle is theta between them, and that you've got directly to be. But the tricky thing is the second quadrant, the third quadrant solution, because this could be minus also. If this is minus, is this solution? This is the case where the sign is minus, and if it is positive, it's this solution. So this case where the diagram looks like this. If the diagram looks like this, it's a little bit more tricky. That's how it is. Okay, so people, this is clear now by both the methods. Now what are we doing next after the sixth question? Ninth. Anybody has a doubt in seventh or eighth? Prince seventh you got now. Okay. So we are moving on to ninth question now, or anybody has doubt in eighth also? Okay, so I'm moving on to ninth question. If anybody has a doubt in eighth, please let me know. Okay, after this, I will do it. Okay, now this is a question which you have to understand geometrically. Okay, vector A देखो मुझे दिया हुआ है 12 I cap plus 16 j cap, and vector B तो काफी आसान है. Vector B is directly given to me as 7 j cap. Okay. You have to find the angle between A and B. I'll tell you the easiest way of doing this question. The easiest way of doing this question is that you just draw the two vectors geometrically, and that's even easier here because one vector is already along the y-axis. So उसके लिए तो कोई angle आपको सोचना भी नहीं है कितना angle. The vector B is already along the y-axis only. So it's very, very straightforward. The vector B, when you draw, will be just like this. So there's nothing challenging about it. It's just a vector of magnitude 7 along the y-axis. The vector A is the one you have to analyze a little bit. कि कैसा vector है. So when you analyze it a little bit, you realize A is a vector like this. So for A, you can find out these two things. What are these? This angle, let's say, theta. So if A is some AXI cap plus AYJ cap, which in this case is 12I cap plus 16J cap, just use the formula that magnitude of A is root of AX square plus AY square. उसकी यहाँ पे actually जरूरत नहीं, but also tan theta is AY by AX. So from that you can find out how much this angle is, and then you can find out the angle that you're looking for. The angle that you're looking for is this one, this angle. Let's say this angle we are labeling as beta. So the angle between A and B will actually become the complement of the angle theta which is there. So just work this out with you. So ये कितना आ रहा है? This is 16 by 12. So that's 4 by 3. So just now we saw that tan theta is 4 by 3 means theta is how much? Theta is 53 degrees. So this is 53 degrees. So this will become how much? This will become 37. Because this one. So this is the easiest way of doing this question. In fact, the moment you see this question, this is the method that should come to mind. That this is already along the y-axis. So all I have to do is find the angle that vector E is inclined at, and then I can just subtract that theta from 90 degrees. So that will give me the axis, the angle between A and B. Okay, people, is this clear? Then what are we doing next? Which question? 11th. Somebody had a doubt in 11th? Yeah. And 10th? Yeah, Shubham, I think. Yeah. So we'll do 10th and 11th. Let's move on to 10th question next. So resultant of two vectors A and B is perpendicular to A and has a magnitude equal to 0.75 times P. Then the A is to B is how much? So it says that if the resultant of two vectors, let's say E, so given to us that this resultant is perpendicular to E, okay, and the magnitude of the resultant is 0.75 times the magnitude of E. Okay. Or you can also write this that the resultant's magnitude is 3 by 4 times the magnitude of E. Okay. So this is very simple. This is just like that question we had done a while back with P and Q being there like this. So just try this by geometry. Just try this by geometry first. So now we have to find A's to B's potential. Okay, so geometrically you will see that A and B have to be like this so that the resultant becomes perpendicular. So now two information is given about the resultant. One is that it is perpendicular and the other is that its magnitude is P by 4 times or 0.75 times P's magnitude. Okay. So let's do it that way only. So suppose you take magnitude of capital A as small a, then magnitude of resultant is 0.75 times or P by 4 times. So this is A. It's P by 4. So now magnitude of B we have to find out. That's it. Just use Pythagoras. So So it will be 5 by 4. So therefore, A is to B. A is to 5 by 4. So 4 is to 5. So note this down quickly and also try this by component method. Just as a practice, also try by component method. Now this one is quite easy to solve by component method also. You see that it's not very lengthy or anything by component method. If you solve by component method, you can do like this. You can take in this diagram only, take the vector E along the x-axis and the vector B or the resultant vector along the y-axis. So this is E in magnitude, this is 3 by 4 E in magnitude. So E is equal to small a I cap and the resultant, which is basically A plus B, is equal to 0.75 E G cap. So therefore, automatically from here now, the vector B becomes resultant minus the vector. That is this equation, equation 2 minus equation 1. I'll explain by parallelogram law method. So vector B is becoming 0.75 E J cap minus E I cap, or you can write it as 3 by 4 E J cap minus E I cap. So that's it. So vector B is minus E I cap plus 3 by 4. So now you can see that the magnitude of B is, when we solve this, we get this as 5A by 4. So there you are. So E is to B is E is to 5 by 4. 4 is to 5. Okay, I'll explain the parallelogram thing also. Parallelogram thing is actually the same as the triangle thing. You will see that geometrically the parallelogram law is no different from the triangle law. It's just that parallelogram law, in the same diagram, it gives you the sum and the difference, the resultant as well as the difference. Whereas triangle law only gives you resultant or the difference one at a time. तो यहाँ पे हम difference की बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. So that is why it did not involve the parallelogram law, because there was no need to involve the difference. But we can use that also. So we can also understand this by parallelogram. What does parallelogram tells us that if we draw two vectors from the common origin, for example, if two vectors are at an acute angle, then we will get a parallelogram which looks like this. From the common origin, we've drawn the vectors A and B. Such that in this particular example, the angle between them is an acute angle. So then I draw these lines to support my diagram and complete the parallelogram. So one side parallel to A, another side from this vertex parallel to B. So that completes my vector parallelogram. And once I've got my vector parallelogram, I know that the so-called primary diagonal, that is the diagonal which is from the common vertex to the opposite side, that becomes the resultant sum. So this diagonal in the parallelogram is E plus B. Whereas at the same time, I can also draw the other diagonal which gives me the difference. Okay. So this is how a parallelogram looks like. Then I'm taking the case where this is a specific case where I have taken theta to be acute. In this case, I have taken theta to be an acute angle. So theta is less than 90. But in this case, you can also see what will happen is that the angle that the resultant is making with E, okay, alpha will also be less than 90, because alpha is here less than theta. It's less than theta. So theta is already less than 90. So this will not fit our particular diagram. Now take the case where the angle between the two given vectors A and B is actually obtuse. वो ऐसा parallelogram दिखेगा. If the angle between A and B is obtuse, I don't know how much it is, but it's some obtuse angle. So it's like this. So this is the case where theta is obtuse, or theta is greater than 90, less than or equal to 180 degrees. In this case, when you draw your vector parallelogram, you will see that there is a possibility that your resultant can become perpendicular or can even make an obtuse angle. It all depends on the values. कुछ भी हो सकता है, acute भी हो सकता है. It all depends. So the way I have drawn it, see, this is acute, but it can become like this also. So in this particular diagram that I have drawn, my resultant sum is this one. But you can see that if I make this even larger on this side, if I bend it a little more, this can become perpendicular. This resultant can become perpendicular. This is E plus B. And this is the angle, which is alpha here. And suppose I wanted to find the difference, then that is this one over here. This is E minus. Now let us draw a parallelogram. So this is the parallelogram law in general. Okay. Now let us draw one which is suitable to our purpose. So in our case, it is one where the resultant should be perpendicular to E. That means that angle alpha that I have drawn above should be 90 degrees. And the resultant should have a magnitude that is 3 by 4 times. So now just modify that second parallelogram a little bit so that happens. So in the second parallelogram now, you understand कि E अगर ऐसा है, then my resultant should be perpendicular to this. So that resultant vector should be like this. And also keep in mind that the resultant's magnitude is only 3 by 4 times P's magnitude. Okay. So you'll realize that your vector B will have to be something like this. So just complete the parallelogram here. You will realize how the vector B has. This is how your parallelogram has to look like. If it has to fit the given profile, that's how much. This is obviously an obtuse angle. So that is the same thing as the triangle that we drawn earlier. If you see, the triangle laws, triangle is present in this one. Same triangle. It's very much over here. This is 3a by 4. This is p. And this is some b, which we don't know. The same as this side. But that's the same as this side. The triangle. And this angle theta, same as this angle theta here. The same as this theta. So it's exactly the same. There's no difference between, in a question when you are applying, there's no difference between the geometry of triangle law and the geometry of parallelogram law. The parallelogram contains the triangle of triangle law. The only advantage of parallelogram law is it can also give you the difference. So यहाँ पे ये triangle में difference directly नहीं gauge करता. But ये problem में, this particular problem, we are not involving the vector difference between A and B anywhere. Okay, so sorry, this vector here is not B. It is the resultant of A. That one is B. This is the resultant sum of A. There is this vector. It's this vector. All right, so just as a practice to get used to drawing parallelograms for parallelogram law, you can just make a note of all this so you'll understand. So just as a rule of thumb, you should remember कि parallelogram law कब हम use करने में ज़्यादा convenience आता है, और when it is more useful for us when we are dealing with something where we are involving both A plus B and A minus B. Because that is the advantage of drawing the parallelogram, because it gives us both the diagonals, each of which represents sum and difference. But if in a question we are only dealing with the sum alone, the resultant alone, or we are only dealing with the difference alone, then it's not going to give too much advantage in making the parallelogram. We might as well just make the triangle, because why to make unnecessarily one more diagram? So hope this point is clear to all of you. So the specific parallelogram we are talking about here is this one. You can see this is how you solve it. So just make a note of this, people, and let's now move on to the next one, which is I think question number 11, right, for us. 11 will be fairly straightforward. Okay, I'll just give you a hint. What you do in question 11 is you see the two equations which are given, how you can manipulate them to find vector E. एक में A plus B दिया हुआ है, एक में A minus B दिया हुआ है. So how you can manipulate them to eliminate B so that you get the vector E? It's pretty easy. Okay, people. So this is done. I hope. Let's come to question 11. So question 11 में बहुत simple है. आपको e plus p दिया हुआ है. Something given to us, and e minus b दिया हुआ है. Okay. You just add the two equations. So now you'll get 2a is equal to something. So this is, I think, and from that you can find mod a. This is 5 I cap, and this is 5 root 3 j cap. So if you just add these two equations above, you will get this as 5 I cap plus 5 root 3 j cap. That means the vector E is 5 by 2 I cap plus 5 root 3 by 2 j cap. So the magnitude of A, just now do this calculation and see how much we're getting. If 5 by 2 common, remove. Okay. So that's all you have to do in question 11. Okay. So complete this question 11 and tell me what other doubts are there. 12, 13, 14, up to 15, any other doubts pending? Just a minute, I'll come. Just tell me which questions after this. Yeah, friends, we'll do 12. So question 12, F1 and F2 are given to you, and F3 is asked such that F1 plus F2 plus F3 should be 0. All you have to do is add them up and find out the value of F3. So इसमें सिर्फ component algebra करना है. So F1 is 12 minus 16 and F2 is minus 8 plus 13. So substitute this over here. So F1, which is 12 I cap minus 16 j cap, plus F2, which is minus 8 I cap plus 13 j cap, plus some unknown force F3 is the null value. So this will become 12 minus 8 I cap plus of minus 16 plus 13 j cap plus of F3 is 3. So 4 I cap minus 3 j cap plus F3 is 0. So just take these terms on that side now. So you get F3 as minus 4 I cap plus. So this is the vector. So its magnitude is becoming 5. Okay. So hope this is clear, people. Just application of component algebra. That means substitute them. Anything else in the assignment? Last 3 questions. Okay, very good. So that's done. So let's come to the test paper then. Okay, so just a minute, I will find a way of sharing the questions. Okay, so just give me a moment. I'll share the test paper. I have the vectors questions separately with me, so I should be able to share them with you. You can select out each questions. Only thing is, it will just take me a minute. Yeah, Alian, I'm switching screens. I'll be sharing the test paper. That's fine. Just give me a minute. I have to open another document and share that. That's fine. Right. So finally, share with you this. Okay, so I'll just take you through the questions. You tell me which questions you want to discuss. So this was the first question of vectors. Are you clear with this, or does anybody have a doubt? Don't worry about the answer, PM. Just tell me the question clear on. Yeah, the answer is C, but it's clear not to all of you. Okay. Then let's move on to the next one. What about this question? Is it clear? Second one. Okay. Then next one. How it is 180 degrees. वही है ना, देखो क्या हो रहा है. Sequence A plus B is given to us as 0. Okay. So this statement now implies this, that B is minus of A. So B is of minus of A का मतलब क्या हुआ? That B is opposite to A ना? So opposite means the angle is 180. It's just like that question we did today, that A was coming out to be minus 5B or something like that. Okay. Now let's come to the third question. So this is like one of the questions we did earlier today. This one. So you can see that your Y component is, see if I can just annotate here. You can see that the Y component is positive and the X component is negative. तो उसका मतलब tan theta कितना है? -1/√3, and it's in quadrant 2. So that is why the answer will become 150 degrees. Because you know that tan 30 is 1/√3. So that means tan 150 will be -1/√3, which is what this is. Okay. That's this question. Now moving on to next one. What about this question? Is it clear, people? Yeah. So just apply triangle law here. You get when is mod A plus B equal to mod A minus B? It occurs when this is the condition. This. So cos theta should be 0. Or you remember from parallelogram also. Okay. If you think in terms of parallelogram law, you can also think like that now. That this means that the diagonals of parallelogram are equal. So that means it's a rectangle. Okay. So theta must be equal to 90 degrees. Only that type of parallelogram has a property that diagonals are parallel. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This question. So is this question clear? Any doubts? Yeah, 10 root 3 will be the answer. Again, this is the method. Okay. So if anybody needs more explanation or some details in any of these questions, please drop me a message. Okay, I'll explain it on the whiteboard properly with more steps. These are just hints which I've given you. The next question. Let's try this out. Yeah, Prince, doubt in this question. So just let's understand the question. So resultant of A and B is such that R is perpendicular to A, and this time A is to B is 1 is to 2. So just try to think how we'll solve in terms of the triangle. Vector triangle यहाँ पे कैसे दिखेगा? Try to think. So if this is, let's say, the vector E, and this is the vector B, let's say. So this is the vector E, and this is the vector B. So that the resultant is becoming perpendicular. The resultant of A and B is becoming perpendicular. This is A plus. Okay. Now also given that A and B's ratio is how much? 1 is to 2. So if this is x, this is 2x. So now you have to find this angle, E theta. So understood, friends, how we do this. This is a right angle triangle. So you can see that if this angle is alpha, you can see that cos alpha is half. So alpha is how much? 60 degrees. So therefore theta is how much? 120 degrees. Understood, friends? Got it, beta? Okay, good. Okay, next this question. Anybody has a doubt in this? Yeah, so Arvind, इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं? See, one is we can use the component method. So if we go by the component method, here what we can say is that the vector B is very easy. It is I can. Okay. But vector A का magnitude मुझे नहीं पता. Okay, so let me say vector A का magnitude is suppose this capital A. So A's x component will become how much? Become minus A cos 53. So that is going to be minus 3/5. So you can see that because this angle is 53, so this angle is how much? It is 127 degrees. So cos 127 is minus cos 50. So that's why we have this minus cos 50 here. Whereas A's y component will become, so sine 127 is sine 53. So it will be E sine 53, that is 4/5 E. Okay. So now you can see that our A plus B is becoming how much? So before that, let us see what the vector is. So if I can see that the vector E is x component minus 3/5 E I cap plus y component 4/5 E j cap. So this is my vector E now. Whereas this was the vector B. So अब इनका sum क्या हो जाएगा? Their sum will become have an x component which is 12 minus 3a/5. And a y component which is 4a/5. Okay. Now what I want is that the x component should become 0. So the situation that I want in this now is that the x component should become 0. Because that is what the question is asking for. Okay. Then the resultant lies along the y-axis. So इसका मतलब क्या है? That resultant का जो x component है वो 0 हो जाना चाहिए. Okay. So this term here, this term should become what? It should become 0. This term should be 0. Okay. So that means your 12 minus 3a/5 should be 0. So that means A should be how much? 20. So the magnitude of A should become 20. So that will become the correct option. Is it clear, Arvinda? Or anybody else has a doubt, please tell me. See, Arvinda, what's happening in that question is, आपका vector B जो है वो ऐसा था. Vector B was 12 I cap, okay. And vector B A was of unknown magnitude. Okay. So A का magnitude unknown था, but ये angle 53 था. So that means this angle is 127, sorry, with the y-axis, with the x-axis, like this. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So that now means that the vector E was minus 3 by 5 times this magnitude I cap plus 4 by 5 times this magnitude J cap. Whereas the vector B we've already seen is 12 I cap. So the resultant of A and B, that is A plus B, क्या बन जा रहा है? It's becoming this plus this. So that is 12 minus 3A by 5 I cap plus 4A by 5 J cap. Now the question is giving us some information. The question is giving us the information that we have to find the magnitude of A such that the resultant, that is R vector, is along the y-axis. So ये statement का मतलब क्या है? That if the resultant is along the y-axis, okay, what that means over here is that this resultant should be of the type only some bi-component J cap. So that means this resultant's x component should be 0. Now what is the resultant's x component over here? Okay, got it now? So that is nothing but 12 minus 3A by 5. So that should be 0. So that means the magnitude of A should be 50 or whatever, 20. Okay, so that is the solution to this question. Right, now let us move on next to the other questions after this. This is fairly simple, I think. This question, all of you should be able to get it. Just you have to do the vector sum of P plus Q plus S. So it is 12 plus 2 minus 2. So that's 12 I cap plus 12 plus 4, that's 16 plus 0. So 16. So it will become 12 I cap plus 16 J cap. So its magnitude is. That's this question. Okay, next let's work out this. Okay. Now this is a direct this thing. You can see it is inequality based. इसमें क्या होगा देखो? What is root of A square plus B square? The root of A square plus B square in this case is the root of 12 square plus 5 square. So that is 13. And what is A plus B? It is 10. So that means magnitude of A plus B is less than square root of A square plus B square. So that means what is happening? The angle theta is obtuse, or cos theta has to be negative. Okay. So it has to be obtuse. Right? Is this question clear? 9th one, people? Okay, so let's come to the next question, the 10th one. Again, this is a type of question where the resultant of these 4 vectors is 0. So इसको कैसे करेंगे? Write all the vectors in component form. Okay. So express F1, F2 and F3 in component form. Okay. And substitute in the equation that their vector sum should be 0. This is what we have to do. Okay. So F1 you can see has an x component of minus root 3 by 2 into 5, y component of plus 5 by 2. Okay. F2 is directly minus 5 I cap. So or you can also do this sum this way. That you can also attempt it this way, where we are just applying the concept that here actually I'm using this, that F3 is minus of F1 plus F2. Okay. So that means that magnitude of F3 is equal to mod of F1 plus F2. And if you go back to the diagram, you can see that F1 and F2 के बारे में सारा information, उनके magnitudes 5 हैं each. Okay. Whereas उनके बीच ये angle कितना है? The angle between F1 and F2. This angle is 60 degrees. Okay. So that is why in the diagram below, we have substituted this angle here. That's why you have substituted this as 60 degrees, because this angle was 60. Component form will be little lengthier. Easier here is because directly this angle and both the magnitudes are known, so substituting here becomes very easy. Okay. That is this, and then we also had a couple of integer questions based on this. So in this you'll understand in this question that ये जो 3 displacements दिए हुए हैं, 2 kilometers towards north, and then 2 kilometers towards west, okay, and then vertically up. Okay, so this vertical displacement of 1 kilometer. So they are mutually perpendicular. You can write S1 as 2j cap, because you can take y-axis northwards and x-axis eastwards. But then vertical कौन सा हो जाएगा? The one coming out of the plane. If this is north and this is east, so this is a horizontal plane. So vertical will be along the z-axis. So z-axis will be the vertical direction. We have to take that into account. Okay, so S2 will be along west, so it is minus 2 I cap. But S3, the third one, will be in which direction? The vertically upward direction. So that will become 1 K cap. Now you do the vector sum of S1, S2, S3. So the net displacement is becoming minus 2 I cap plus 2 J cap plus K cap. So उसका magnitude कितना हो जा रहा है? It is square root of 2 square this one. The magnitude is becoming this. Right, people. So this is also clear. So they are mutually perpendicular displacements. This one towards north, this one towards west, and this one vertically upwards. This one. They are mutually perpendicular. So that is why the resultant becomes like this. And let's come to the last one. So इसमें what you do is again you express everything in component form. So when you express in component form, you can see the vector A will become like this. the vector B will become like this, and the vector C will become like this. So we can easily check A minus B plus C is this. Okay, people, so is this clear for all of you? Okay. So good. So that completes the assignment discussion for today. Okay. So today's session was mostly about discussion of the paper and discussion of this thing. So the assignment. Okay. So for next time, I will give you some questions to work out from the module assignments. Okay. So hope all of you have also been going through the module notes. You know that mathematics, useful mathematics of physics module. So in that, from the exercise 1, 2, etc., I will give you some questions which are based on what we've learned so far. And then next lecture onwards, we will also get into some more theorems and things before we come to the products of vectors, which is dot product and cross product. Okay, so there are a few more things in theory. We are sort of halfway right now in between in vectors. We have completed up to component algebra in 3 dimensions. So we are sort of halfway. So some more theory things to discuss before we come to products. And while we discuss those theory things, we will be also doing some questions. Arvind, I'll just verify the last answer for you. I don't remember. No, answer 5 aega beta. Is 4 I cap minus 3 j cap. Na? So magnitude is root of 4 square plus 5 square. You getting it beta? Magnitude is this, na? Root of. Okay. Right. So as I was saying, okay, that's good to know, Prince. So I hope up to this point, up to exercise 5, you know, all of you are clear with most of the questions. So anyway, I will send you a list of some selected questions from the module, which you will do from exercise 1 and 2. And from that, you will understand more whether, you know, you need more revision or you're clear up to this point. And as I told you, next time we will discuss some more theorems and things to do with vector addition, vector subtraction and all. Okay. That's it for today, people. Thank you. Yes, Prince, I will send some more questions. Okay, don't worry. The assignments will keep coming from my side. Okay. So I will send some assignment along with the module thing also. Okay.